Welcome back to Project Genesis. So far in our time together, we have learned to create new goals for ourselves that are easier to attain for a happier year, identified your non-negotiables for a more balanced, healthier life, and we created your tribe and support system. The reasons why we started with these topics is because we needed to create a safe and supportive foundation before we move on to some of the tough stuff. These next several videos are going to hit home for many of us. They are about the relationships that caused us pain and suffering. Session 4 of Project Genesis is getting us started with the most common types of toxic relationship habits. And these are habits and patterns that many of us might think are normal and acceptable. They're not. There's no class that trains us for this. No course that teaches us how to recognize if we are being a bad partner or if we are attracting some sort of toxic pattern into our life. In fact, we are taught these unrealistic expectations of love. Our culture worships romantic love, idolizes the idea that somebody is out there that completes us or saves us, as though we are somehow broken or worth less or imperfect without this person. Unhealthy relationships are laced within the very fabric of our culture. I'm going to talk to you today about the 6 most common types of relationship patterns that many of us think are normal, but in actuality they could be toxic and destroying your sense of worth and happiness. Scorekeeping. Scorekeeping is the dynamic that occurs when a couple uses their partner's past wrongdoings in order to try to justify their own poor decision. One partner blames another for their past mistakes, and this can become a cycle between both individuals where it becomes a battle to determine who has caused the most pain or who owes the other more. Where can forgiveness and growth occur if we are constantly holding grudges and using the past as ammo to justify future behavior? Passive aggressiveness. Being passive aggressive is a sign one is not comfortable communicating openly and honestly. Instead, someone drops hints, inflects with certain tone, or uses nonverbal body language to indicate their needs, expecting the other to understand clearly that something is wrong. Sometimes passive aggression is used by one partner to indirectly upset the other so that they will lash out. As a result, the lashing out from that partner makes the passive aggressor feel justified in complaining about them. Truthfully, being passive aggressive is a sign of insecurity and a fear of being judged or criticized for how you really feel. Relationship blackmailing. This dynamic occurs when someone has a complaint and exaggerates it by threatening the commitment to the relationship. They hold the relationship hostage by evoking fear and abandonment. For example, if one partner falls asleep before they are able to call the other to wish them good night, the other partner may say, "I can't be in a relationship with somebody who forgets me so easily." This sort of dynamic creates unnecessary drama, leading to a relationship of distrust and manipulation. Blaming and shaming. When feelings get displaced, a couple may find themselves in a blaming or shaming dynamic. One partner may have had a bad day, and because the other isn't responding in a way that they expect or need, the upset individual lashes out, accusing the other of being insensitive and cold. What makes this toxic is expecting your partner to know what your needs are without verbalizing it, and then either blaming them for your disrupted state or shaming them for not being a good enough partner to recognize the disruption. This type of relationship can be selfish and indicates a lack of personal emotional boundaries and communication safety. This can lead to a relationship that becomes codependent, bitter, and manipulative. Loving jealousy. Jealousy can be a common human experience, but within a relationship, jealousy can be a sign of insecurity, possessiveness, and unresolved anger. It is unhealthy if one partner experiences jealousy because the other has friends or other close, healthy relationships they want to share their time with. It is unhealthy to take one's anger out on one's partner in an attempt to control their behavior. This can lead to other unhealthy behaviors, such as stalking, hacking somebody's email account, and looking through their text messages. This is not a sign of affection, and it is not a sign of loving somebody too much. It is a sign of a fragile and insecure relationship. Ignoring problems by progressing the relationship. A couple has a major conflict, and instead of solving it, they cover it up with something they hope creates positive feelings. A trip, an engagement, a baby. The reality is pain cannot be covered up for long. Eventually, it festers and creates contempt and resentment in a relationship. This is actually a sign that, for some reason, it is unsafe to talk about what might be broken and what can be done to rebuild. And again, it's a sign of unhealthy communication and individual insecurities within the relationship. To enjoy the luxuries and joys of life, to really appreciate those moments and gifts, we must have a solid and trusting foundation. Making your relationship secure and healthy is a trial and error process. And naturally, there's going to be a lot of error until you find out what you want and what makes your relationship work. Your homework this week is to simply reflect on some of the relationships you've experienced in your life, and maybe even current relationships, and ask yourself these questions. Do you see any of the dynamics that we talked about today present in those relationships? If so, what triggers that interaction? Where is the fragile place, the insecure topic that is causing the relationship to be susceptible to this cycle? Name it. Your answers to these questions will be useful for future sessions. I'll see you next time.